And welcome back to Tech Tuesday. I am Steve Leahy. This Tech Tuesday is a little bit different. This isn't about paint or airbrushes. This one is about motivation. So I get this one a lot. I get this question a lot. And it's how do I stay motivated? Not me personally, but how does that person stay motivated, or how do we all stay motivated? This is a good one. This is a real good one. I know what happens. It happens to all of us. You know, we look at where we are. Let's just say with art, for instance, you look at where you're at, and there are people who are miles ahead of you. There are people who are just doing everything you want to do in the way that you want to do it, and it just feels like you're never going to get there, and it's debilitating. It shuts you down. So I would say that there has never been an artist that I have met that hasn't felt this. Some on a daily basis. It's really, really common, especially with a creative endeavor. It's so personal that that just has that extra level of hit that comes with it. So the advice I tell people is to just stop comparing yourself to others. And I know this advice is out there, and it's out there for a reason. So we are all on different points on this path. The same path. So let's use art for example, but it could be anything. There'll always be people who will be ahead of you on that path. There'll always be people who will have more money, seemingly more opportunities, more talent, all of it. But there's also people who are behind you on that path as well, and they look at you with the same envy maybe, but the same feelings. So in comparing yourself to other people on that path that are on different parts of that path, it's never ending. You'll always have people who are ahead of you, no matter where you are, on that path. So you have to come up with a different compass, a different way to look at yourself, and those all come from your personal values. So there are values throughout our lives, and what a value is something that's deeply important. Essentially, that you'll be remembered by when you're gone. That's a good way to look at a good solid value. If it's the way people are going to remember you, the good things, hopefully. So with art, it's if you look at the values for your art, knowing what that is, knowing deeply what that is, will help you to kind of navigate those moments where you're looking at others and what they have. It'll keep you motivated. It'll keep you on the right track. So you won't get discouraged essentially by seeing someone who's farther ahead of you. Your values will say, okay, I want to be there, so let me figure out what they're doing, and I will try to incorporate that into what I'm doing. The same thing with people who are behind you. If you have strong values for your art, for instance, you'll pass on what you already know so that someone can get a little bit farther on their path and have less of that frustration that you're feeling too. So that's what a good value will do. So how do you identify those for real? Because anyone can say, I want to be a good artist, or you know, I want to have a successful career. But how do you really get that? You know, how do you crystallize those values so that you have something to work around? Well, there is a book that I've been using for as long as I can remember, since I found it, really. It's very familiar. I'll show it to you in a second. It's very familiar to a lot of people. Actually, show it to you now because you're here. So it's 7 Habits of Effective. I can't even talk. It's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This book, if you're into any kind of self-improvement type book, this is the granddaddy. This is one of them, anyway. I love this book because of the way that it's written. I am a very show me the steps kind of person. I don't want some cloud of information and then I'm just gonna have to sort it out and figure it out. This is extremely clear. It is boiled down to just what it says: 7 habits that will help you kind of focus your life, identify what's important to you, and then how to work around that, how to incorporate that into your life. And I'm not lying to you. This book, well, there you go. I read this to shreds, and this isn't my first copy. This is just one that's the latest copy, so I got to replace this one soon. I can't recommend this book highly enough to get you started on kind of figuring out the steps you need to take to get to where you want to go. And it applies for your entire life. It's not just art. It applies for everything. So it'll really help you get that motivation. All right. So what you want to think about as you're kind of getting into this and you've kind of solidified that value. I'll give you some examples of how knowing what that value and having that strong sense of value will really help you with your career, with your art. One we just talked about, if you know where you want to be with your art and you're confident about that, it'll help you when you interact with other artists. You'll be a part of a successful artist. You'll find out what they're doing and you'll help out an artist that's behind you. The other thing it'll do is it'll insulate you from people who have different sets of values than you. Everyone has a different set of values, and to some people, even some people that care about you, art isn't important. It isn't a value. So they will give you advice along the way in meaning the best, but it won't match up with what is really important to you. So I've had people in my life who have told me that I shouldn't be an artist, and yeah, it happens to everyone. So that set of values will really help you kind of insulate and know where you need to be and what's important, and it'll help you drive through that. It's a killer for the motivation if someone you care about feels that you shouldn't be doing that. That's important. And it also helps you explain to those people why this is important to you as well, because now you understand what that value is and what it means to you, and then you can pass that on and help someone understand where you're coming from. So it is very effective. The other thing it really does to you too, it changes the way you look at everything you're doing. So let me give you an example. Say you're working full-time and you're stocking shelves at a store, and it seems like a dead-end job. You really want to be an artist. Your focus and your value and your goals are being that artist, but you're working at this job. You can't change that immediately. You can't just quit and walk out. You could, but I wouldn't recommend it. But what those values will let you do is take that situation at that moment and start forming it around what your values are. So let me give you an example. So you're stocking shelves, you're done with stocking shelves. You have a little bit of extra time, so you go to your manager and say, hey, I'm done with what I'm doing, but I'd really like to learn this part of the job, this other part of the job, maybe a part that he or she has, the manager, like inventory control or running some other part of the business, dealing with the employees or whatever. I guarantee to you, if you ask your employer for more responsibility without pay, they will give that to you. But what happens is it gives you that one step closer to getting to where you want to be. You're learning something that you can apply later on. I know it seems minor, I know it seems small, but this journey we're on is all small steps. It's all small steps that kind of bring us to where we want to be. So you take what seems like a bad situation for you right now and you incorporate that into your life in a very good way. You're learning something new so that when you're out, when you're starting your own business, now you have an idea of what inventory control actually is and how to deal with employees or whatever those things were that you did. And I guarantee you can find this in everything. You can, when you start looking at your life through your values, and you'll have many, a good parent, a good son or daughter, a good community member, all of them. When you have that set of values that you have, everything you do will be looked at through those values, and every step you take will be to improve those values, and one of them is your art. So that's where I'm going to leave you with today, because it's a lot to kind of digest. It's a lot of responsibility on you. That's the big thing. There are so many negative feelings that will flood in, so many moments of self-doubt that will stop you from doing that will say that's stupid and I'm not going to do that. But those thoughts will keep you exactly where you are, and you don't want to be there. You want to move forward. So go buy the book, enjoy it. It is very good. You will hopefully become addicted to it, and it will help you organize your life in a good way. So that's what I got. So if you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing and clicking that bell icon. Next week I'll go into a couple other examples of this to kind of give you a more practical way to look at it too. So it won't seem so, cloud-like. All right, so for Steve Leahy and Tech Tuesday, thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next week.